an action against Wells Fargo and their investments in private prisons. I think it's much better to keep your money in Community First, Redwood Credit Union, anything local.
Even banksters get food, huh?
Everyone's privileged to food.
No, I just don't think we need a lot of private prisons and concentration camps for people. I think it's a bad idea. And
To begin, we want to start by please raising your hands if you or anyone you know has lost their home to a home foreclosure. Raise your hand. Wow. Okay, gracias. So Wells Fargo is deeply complicit in these two problems we're talking about today, the unjust home foreclosures and immigrant detention centers.
Hi everybody. My name is Jesus Guzman. As Maureen mentioned, I'm an organizer for the Dream Alliance Sonoma County. Today marks a defining point in which Occupy and the immigrant rights movement have come together and joined forces to fight a common battle. And you want to know something? It's about time. The reason we've come together today is because there are some misguided people at Wells Fargo that are profiting from the suffering of others, and we're here to set them straight. For too long, Wells Fargo has been illegally foreclosing on people's homes and devastating entire communities across the United States. And for too long, Wells Fargo has been investing and profiting from the criminalization and detention of immigrants. Earlier this year, Wells Fargo was fined $85 million for falsifying loan documents and pressuring families into signing subprime mortgages. So I made it a habit to read the newspaper. So when I read the newspaper on Wednesday and read Wells Fargo's response, and I read their complete denial of responsibility and guilt in regards to the immigration detention centers, well, let me tell you something. Here's our very public response. GEO Group, one of the top for-profit prison companies in the United States, reported to the federal government the ways in which they partner with Wells Fargo. Now, somebody please keep count, because I'm going to read off the list in which they profit. They work with Wells Fargo as the underwriter, trustee, broker-dealer, documentation agent, joint book running manager, initial purchaser, dealer manager, financial advisor and acquisitions, and exchange agent. We counted 9 different ways.
Contamos 9 diferentes maneras en que Wells Fargo estaba trabajando con ellos.
Wells Fargo, the money you invest in GEO Group and Corrections Corporation of America, these are ways in which you profit. These companies profit from the incarceration and criminalization of immigrants. GEO Group and CCA, these are the same companies that have lobbied extensively to pass racist laws like SB 1070 in Arizona and HB 87 in Georgia. Why? Because that ensures that they have a fresh influx of inmates to fill their prison cells to continue their profit. So let's consider where our money is going. Let's think about how our money is supporting these companies and how we can alter the course of human suffering by simply investing wisely. Because of this contemptuous profiteering, we've come together today to call out Wells Fargo and tell them to end the illegal foreclosures and end their investment in the immigration detention centers and win a seat at the table of giants, to say to them that for too long they've kept us at the foot of the tent and not let us in. But times are changing and our unified presence grows.
Y los tiempos cambian y nuestra presencia unida crezca.
Wells Fargo officials heard us coming, so they've reached out to us. And they're willing to have that dialogue necessary to affect change. That's one victory already, one of many more to come. Because you're all here today, because Occupy and the immigrant rights movement and the community have continued to pressure them. They have agreed to extend that seat at the table. And now we move forward to the next stage. So know that today we can make that change happen. You can make that change happen.
So our next speaker is Richard Koshner, is an immigrant rights attorney. Many of you may know of him and his work in the immigrant community here. Muy bienvenido, Rick, y muchas gracias.
Sí, gracias, Maureen. Gracias. So, I've been an immigration lawyer for about 8 years, and during that time, I've seen many people from the Sonoma County Jail be taken to San Francisco into ICE custody, and then from there, taken to a privately run, for-profit detention facility in Eloy, Arizona. One of my clients taken there has told me that the treatment is very, very disrespectful. The guards use terrible language in referring to the immigrants. And this young man, during his time there in Eloy, Arizona, suffered from a kidney stone. When he complained of pain from this kidney stone and bleeding with his urine, they just said, wait. And for days and days he waited until he finally passed out from pain. And then they did the diagnostics and found the kidney stone and finally treated him. His case is just one that I know of, but in doing a little bit of research, I found that Bloomsburg published a report saying that CCA, Correctional Corporation of America's Eloy Detention Facility in Arizona, had more deaths than any other immigration jail listed in a congressional report last year. In one case, a 62-year-old man from Ghana died from heart complications of diabetes. He had lived in the United States for 33 years, and in internal documents that were discovered later, it was found that ICE didn't even know why he was put in detention in the first place. Okay, I'm not going to take much longer, but I did want to tell you specifically about the problem of women in detention and what happens when you introduce the profit motive in immigration detention. There's a report here from the University of Arizona studying women in detention facilities, and they checked out what was happening in Eloy and Florence, Arizona, where there are 2 prisons run privately and 1 county jail that hold immigrants. And they found that one woman, they call her L, was diagnosed with cervical cancer just prior to her detention. She did not receive any care for that until an emergency arose, and a month later she finally got to see an oncologist. Another example is a woman who arrived after severe beating of domestic violence. She was taken into detention instead of the abusive partner, and she received no mental health care for her 5 months of detention. I know I'm running out of time. There's a long list of such examples. I can't go into them all, but I want you to understand just one last thing. The treatment of immigrants in detention, whether it's under government prisons like ICE or under profit prisons like CCA, is very bad. But it is worse in private for-profit institutions because the government pays regardless of the number of people in. So the government strives to keep people in. I've had many cases where I've tried to get people back where their witnesses, their family, and their attorney is in the San Francisco district, and ICE fights very hard to keep the case in Eloy, Arizona, keeping the bed population up, keeping the profits up for CCA, and paying off the government investment in CCA.
We're done with this cycle of Wells Fargo benefiting from the investment, asking our children to invest our money into banks, into the actual detention centers that will ultimately result in our families and friends being deported. We're done.
If I don't have your papers, I'm going to have to arrest you as very suspicious people.
Pero ¿por qué?
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. March.
Tengo cuenta allí en ese banco, me engañaron y lo peor de todo es de que ese banco está invirtiendo nuestro dinero en cárceles.
Ma'am, we're here to serve notice that they're getting a foreclosure on your house.
No, you can't do that. This is my house. No, you can't do that. This is my house.
You owe the bank too much money. The bank can't help you any longer, and orders are orders.
No, you can't do this.
You don't understand. This is nothing personal. This is just part of my job.
Worked hard to have something for my family. Now the bank has foreclosed it all. I feel incompetent, like a piece of trash. I don't know what to do.
So we're Aztec dancers, and they called us out to come here and support the community.
Yeah, I always wear my feathers just because, I feel proud to be indigenous.
Good. That's very good.